I mean, we're underground, so fortune tellers are underground people, witches, magical people. How is this so different? But it is. Hello YouTube, this is Tammy Pie, and I'm back with another video. This video is going to be another little break from Tarot March Madness, which, although some of us are really into it, the whole sporting event style of pitting one deck against another, and the gladiator sport of how good is this tarot cardstock and the imagery and the reading and all that. I got called out the other day by a viewer, and I'm not going to say who it was. Not like somebody I'm super familiar with. However, I thought that their question was valid enough to have a little bit of back and forth with the person. And there are reasons why they may have been kind of correct, but it isn't the same. So I'm gonna head or title this video Shades of Gray, and we're going to talk about counterfeit or pirated decks. And there's a good reason for this. It has become a serious problem, and so serious that it's making artists stop making decks. If you've been on YouTube for some time, and I have, although I've only been making videos for a year, a little over a year. I have a video that's like 5 years old, but I have been on the YouTube tarot scene for a good deal longer than that. I searched around 10 years ago. I've been following certain accounts for more than 8 years. And things have changed. Once upon a time, you could go to Instagram and follow an artist and watch them creating the deck, which is really cool. It was really fun. It got us totally invested in the creation of the deck. It felt magical. On Facebook and YouTube, we all were, well, not all, but many people were involved in the creation of Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh by Anna Turian and Avalon Cameron. So in the down bar, in the description of this video, I am going to link several videos, and some of them are by artists who have been stolen from. Some of them are by collectors who have been duped. Some of them are simply talking about how this hurts the publishing and the collecting and the artistry of this business of tarot that we all love so much. So the person who sent me the comment, the question, asked me about the tiny greenie that I put in one of my videos. I think it was the 15 decks that everyone should have. So of course I had just gotten it, so I was totally in love with it. And this is a deck that is published in the Make Playing Cards place, where honestly at Make Playing Cards you could pirate, you could copy, you could take any version of any of your decks and print one up for yourself. And honestly, I don't see a problem with that. And I don't even think the artists would see a problem with that necessarily, as long as you're not selling them. The problem comes when you're selling them. So this one is for sale. Although it is kind of an underground situation. You kind of got to know where to go. You got to know who to ask. And you got to get a link. So I looked it up. The person who asked me asked, aren't these still under copyright? And so aren't you stealing from US Games? And my answer very quickly was, well, Lady Frida Harris already got paid. Aleister Crowley is dead. And so no, I don't feel like I'm stealing from them at all. Because the people that are being stolen from right now, from these like AliExpress, Magic.com, these huge resellers who are now selling in eBay, who you find in the metaphysical bookstores. And I say this with a little vim and vigor because if I walk into a bookstore that is selling these fake decks, it is my feeling that I never want to go back there because they are stealing our magic. Okay? So one of the links one of the videos I'm going to link below is a video that was just put out by the Magpie person. And she talks about, she's actually talking about high contrast decks and how they give her different feelings for different reading styles. But the reason I link that is because we are a magical community. We get feeling from our decks. So I have not been taken in by dupes. I have not purchased anything from Ali or Magic or any of those like huge, obviously Chinese resellers that they're soaking up a lot of money from people who are broke and trying to get something for a better price. Honestly, mass market decks are at a pretty inexpensive price. So if you're out there buying a Hay House deck that has been pirated, so you don't want to pay $17, but you may be paying $8.99 plus shipping and then waiting, you're doing yourself a disservice. But Hay House, they're not that big. When you look at places like Walmart and Target and very large companies, eBay, Hay House is still a place that pays their artists. They are buying whole decks from people who are spending a lot of time painting, and there are people who format. There are people who work out there looking for decks to publish. These are people too. So after my initial, it's US Games. Are we hurting US Games? Well, maybe so. Maybe we are hurting US Games, and we don't want US Games to go anywhere because they are doing the larger tarot community a service by continuing to publish mass market decks which reach the larger audience and the larger community of magical people. I have gotten a deck that was a really well constructed and in my opinion, very insidious copy. Pirate, counterfeit, stolen. And that was the Lubanco tarot. And I got it actually in a package of other decks from a friend of mine who she gave them to me, and she gave me a large collection. She said, I'm going to include this because I'm never going to touch it. And if you were interested in this deck, this is a way for you to see it. And if you can use it, more power to you. But when I got it, I'm going to tell you, it had an icky feeling. And an icky feeling affects how you read your cards, okay? So ickiness is a real thing, and it sucks away your magic, okay? So if you are a card reader, part of reading the cards, whether you be not invested in being magical, even if you are more of the intellectual card reader, someone who is looking into psychology and archetypes, and there are those of us who do it that way, even those people are going to get the icky, okay? So let me just show you a couple of things. This is my main working Thoth deck, and I bought this on eBay, and I bought it without a box or a book, but I could see from how he laid it out that these were the real cards, okay? This is a Thoth Greenie. I believe it's a 1983, published by US Games. And these are well loved because they were very well formatted. If you look at that center red circle, it is a circle, okay? The green, it's been posited that the green is a misprint, all right? But these are the paintings that Aleister Crowley paid Lady Frida Harris, and it's well documented that there was a lot of back and forth, okay? These are Golden Dawn creations, and they're well loved and well known by the tarot community. I also have a second copy of the same deck, which does have a box and a book, and very clearly it is booklet of instructions designed by Aleister Crowley, painted by Lady Frida Harris, and printed by US Game Systems, okay? So this I paid a larger price for. The other one I got on a whim, and it wasn't very expensive. This one was quite pricey because it's very collectible, right? This one I got on Make Playing Cards, and again, it's very well formatted. The scans were beautifully done. That circle, that center circle is round, okay? And so this was a little more expensive even than this one. And that's because the Make Playing Cards people, they print on demand. As they're ordered, they print them, okay? Now, so I went and looked it up because I was starting to get a little ick down below here, okay? Now, Lady Frida Harris was hired to do this work. So she was paid by Aleister Crowley, and her estate doesn't care. They're completely uninterested. Generally, for published work, 70 years after the death of the author, the copyright runs out, okay? So Aleister Crowley died in 1947. That would put that 70-year mark at 2017. So honestly, this deck is fine, okay? But they still are publishing this at US Games, and most people will buy from US Games because it's a mass market deck, and because you can get it for $20, $25, anywhere where you buy your decks. And please do buy the real deck from the publishers because they're doing us a service. They continue to provide us with great quality, with good cardstock, with many, many really good tarot decks, and they're paying their artists and they're paying people to continue to do this. Now, I've also linked a couple of one of the videos that I linked is by Anatorian, and she talks in detail about websites that will try and fake you out. These websites actually, in some cases, like on eBay, they'll put the picture of the real deck and then sell you a fake one. She goes into aching detail about how they will lie, about how you can kind of look at their descriptions and figure it out. Honestly, I've never been tricked because I've been looking at decks for a long time, and I can see when it's a tuck box that it shouldn't be. I can see when they're giving you a QR code that is not kosher. Now, one of my favorite artists, Anatorian is one of my favorite artists, but one of my favorite artists is Jamie Sawyer. Her decks have been ruthlessly stolen, and she is a tiny, tiny creator. She gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and works. This is a working artist who self-publishes, who runs her own website and mails stuff out with her bare hands. And this is a person who you are hurting when you buy fake decks. This is a person who is directly being hurt. And honestly, for a while, she was not creating. She let a lot of her decks go out of print because she didn't want to deal with this anymore, okay? Now, 70 years after her death, is it going to matter? Probably not, but right now it does. So I can see being very vehement and saying there are no shades of gray in this situation. If you're buying a counterfeit deck, you're buying a counterfeit deck. But I don't think that that's the same thing as purchasing this. I really, really, really don't. Now, I'm going to show you a few other things. Now, this is the first one that I noticed was being widely published and was definitely faked. And this is another US Games production, okay? So this is Tarot of the Cloisters, and it was printed by US Games. And mine, I got secondhand. A friend of mine bought this at the at a garage sale, okay? So these cards are actually pretty big. It's a round deck, and this is a problem for me. Round decks, I don't usually love them, but the reprints are not of this quality, okay? This color is bright and beautiful, even though this deck is probably 30 years old, maybe even 40 years old. Okay, these were originally printed, I think, in the 80s. Copyright 1993. Okay, so 30 years old. The cards are slightly bigger than that because they came in a little square box, which fell apart at the seams. They were the square boxes were similar to this one, although this one's a mini. Okay, so, and again, came with a box. Came with a book that was printed with it. So I noticed these were going around, like a bunch of them. Like they figured out, oh, people want to buy this deck because it's collectible. And so they started printing a bunch of fake ones, and the fake ones aren't the same. They're not as nice. The color isn't as good. The print quality isn't good. The cardstock isn't good. But people were getting it because they wanted the deck, right? Another thing that happens, I got this deck off a trade table. And this is someone who has the actual deck. This one's called a Kishabu. Okay, this is a Japanese Marseille RWS mashup. Okay, and this collector has a huge collection of real decks. Her husband is a bookseller. They are very careful about their print, what they collect and what they put out there. She does this so that she can have decks that don't have a border, because she doesn't do the modding. She doesn't cut them because of the way she feels about these decks. They were originally printed in a certain way, but she wants to be able to see the images without the border. So she doesn't sell them. I happened to get this because I happened to be at Northwest Tarot Symposium. She happened to not want this anymore and put it on the table. So that's another way that you can get a deck that isn't exactly kosher, but that is a shade of gray because she's not selling these. This is another situation that I discussed in my back and forth commentary with this person who was talking about stealing from the publishing company. And this is the Hello Kitty Tarot, which this person who created these decks doesn't do it anymore. These are long out of print. I don't think you've been able to get this for probably 10, 11 years. And I traded for this one, actually. So Sanrio is a giant Japanese company that has been doing Hello Kitty and still is making a bundle off Hello Kitty. And they actually did print a little tarot deck that was very sweet, very pink and white. I think they did a majors only, and they might have done a pit version. So these characters are very well known in the Sanrio universe, but this deck was fully created by a graphic artist, two graphic artists actually, because this back, I actually know the person that did the back. So this is a shade of gray to me because their version was not a good deck. It wasn't fun to read with, it wasn't fun to have, but this one really is. But again, I hardly ever show it, although I use it every once in a while because it's a feel-good deck to me. So is this a bad thing? I would argue that Sanrio might actually go after her. Sanrio would not be happy with her making money on their products. So where does that leave me as a collector who has already traded something else for this and who maybe shows this on Instagram once every year or so? I don't know. I'm not sure. That is an odd shade of gray for me because Sanrio is generally doing children's products. We might buy a fluffy pillow or a key ring. I have on my purse, I have a Badzu zipper pull. Where is it? Right? So they're still making money hand over fist with this. I don't think we're taking anything from them. Honestly, I really don't. However, for my artists that are printing decks right now, who are slaving away over their easels or over, there are people who have done linographs that are being stolen from. That's like digging, they're literally giving their blood, sweat, and tears to make this art good. And we are benefiting greatly from having a wide and diverse array of decks that they print lovingly. They try and give us the best cardstock. They try and let us have it in different sizes, pockets, larges, giants, minis, itty bitties, miniatures. They are giving us different kinds of packaging, cans, bags, just everything you can possibly imagine. They're bending over backwards to do for us. And I think it's only fair that we not purchase from AliExpress, saving $8. And I understand if you're looking for something that has been priced just far out of your reach, $200 for a deck. But do you really need it? Because when it comes down to it, the mass market publishing game has really stepped up, and they've given us some great decks. Go look at something else. Go find something else that you really love. And don't send your money away to these people who they're tricking people. And they're going to give you an icky feeling. And they're sucking the magic out of our community. And they're making artists quit, which we really don't want. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I hope that I've covered this in a different way than other people did. And check out the videos that I left below. And thank you for coming.